Mangwarani Malelepo Vukejani Klas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Bedi and Aina Raisa Kweyo, ready to engage with the content.
In our top stories this morning, China's Xi pledges to support Africa's industrialization at BRICS. Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa re-elected with 52.6% of the votes. And Algeria quietly withdraws Barbie from local cinemas.
Stay with us as we head into the top stories shortly.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
In our top story this morning, Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa was re-elected for the second and final 5-year term late Saturday in results announced much earlier than expected following another trouble vote in the southern African country with a history of violent and disputed elections. An opposition party spokesperson said with minutes of Mnangagwa being declared the winner that they would reject the results as fast as possible and assembled without proper verification. Mnangagwa's victory meant that ZANU-PF party retained the government leadership it has held for 43 years of Zimbabwe's history since the nation was renamed following independence from the white minority rule in 1980.
Now, China's leader Xi Jinping told African leaders at a meeting on the sidelines of the BRICS summit that China would launch initiatives to support Africa's industrialization and agricultural modernization. China will better harness its resources for cooperation with Africa and initiatives of businesses to support Africa in growing its manufacturing sector and realizing industrialization and economic diversification, Xi said without providing details. Xi's pledge was made as the BRICS summit wrapped up during a meeting with leaders and ministers from the African Union and 11 African countries, including Libya, Nigeria, Senegal, and Zambia. The BRICS members, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, on Thursday agreed to admit 6 new countries, including Egypt and Ethiopia. China's top Africa diplomat Wu Peng said this week that African countries wanted China to shift its focus from building infrastructure on the continent to local industrialization.
Angola and Brazil agreed to strengthen and relaunch cooperation. Angola President João Lourenço welcomed his Brazilian counterpart Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva at the presidential palace in Luanda last week. The official state visit comes as the day as the end of the BRICS summit, where discussions of economic growth and expansions were the main items on the agenda. President Lourenço expressed hope for future cooperation with Brazil, suggesting it becomes a gateway to the Mercosur. Lourenço said given that Angola and Brazil temporarily hold the presidency of their respective regional organization, it would be very important to prepare a high-level meeting between the two regional blocs to harmonize a strong economic cooperation within the framework of their developments.
Now, on Saturday, Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel came close to tears when he delivered an emotional speech highlighting the unwavering, unconditional, and eternal bond between Namibia and Cuba. He emphasized that this relationship is rooted in a shared history of struggle, where both nations have drawn strength from the courage of Africans, including Namibians who were forcibly enslaved and later fought for their freedom in Cuba. This journey ultimately contributed to Cuba's own fight for independence. Men and women from African lands were snatched from here, also from Namibia. Colonialists snatched free men and women from Africa and turned them into slaves in our land. And those slaves who were there fought for their freedom. And as they fought for their freedom, they also joined the struggles for Cuba's independence. He emphasized that when Cubans therefore came to fight alongside Africans such as Namibia and Angola, they did so because they are connected to the continent and also saw it as a debt repaid.
In our next story, in Niger's capital, Niamey, life is relatively calm after the storm of President Mohamed Bazoum overthrow a month ago. Despite the stillness, tensions are on the rise as ECOWAS threatens a military intervention to reinstate Bazoum. Neighboring country Burkina Faso and Mali have emphasized their support for the ruling junta. To this end, they agreed to set up a joint secretariat for security issues. They welcomed the signing by the president of the National Council of the Safeguarding of the Motherland, Brigadier General Tachani, of the two orders on August 24, 2023, authorizing the Defense and Security Forces of Burkina Faso and Mali to intervene in the Nigerian territory in the event of aggression. Deputy Secretary of the Niger Foreign Ministry stated, as a response, ECOWAS told Niger coup leaders on Friday there is still time to reconsider.
All right, that brings us to the end of our top stories on Africa. Good morning. Now, last week, Wednesday, Zimbabweans went to elections, and this weekend a winner was declared. We'll be talking to Talent Gore about how the election process transpired after the break. All right, so the Zimbabwean election just transpired. SADC said it couldn't put its stamp of approval on the election. AU felt the same way. European Union felt exactly the same way. The ZEC did not, and they powered through with naming President Mnangagwa as president for his final term. But Talent Gore is here to give us the ins and outs and all the intricate details of how the election transpired. Talent, take it away.
Good morning, and Africa, good morning. Apparently, as you all know, on Wednesday, Zimbabweans had a general election whereby they were casting their votes to choose their next president. And on that day, Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, which is in charge of all elections in Zimbabwe, could not provide ballot papers in Harare and Bulawayo on time. There were people who actually voted at 12 a.m. Some were voting at 8 p.m. Apparently in Zimbabwe, voting starts at 7 a.m. and ends at 7 p.m. And there were a lot of inconsistencies this time around. If you recall, I had done a story earlier on Monday saying that ZEC had said they had printed a lot of ballot papers. But apparently on election day, Zimbabwe Electoral Commission came back and said that they had not printed enough ballot papers, and they're saying that they could not provide ballot papers. And at some point and at some constituencies, they claimed that the ballot papers had finished and they had to reprint. So there was a lot of chaos on election day, to the extent that the president had to extend the election day up until the 24th of August. And then soon after that, people voted. Some actually slept at polling stations waiting to vote, and they then voted. And President Emmerson Mnangagwa was re-elected as the president of Zimbabwe, and his inauguration is yet to take place. But there are also some challenges with the election results. The opposition Citizens Coalition for Change is claiming that ZANU-PF and the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission have once again rigged the election, and they are not accepting these election results. They are also saying that their presiding polling agents and presiding officer did not sign the V11 forms and the V23A forms, and they're saying that they did not accept those. They are not accepting those results, and that the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission had rigged this year's elections. So right now they are saying that a lot is going to take place. They are going to challenge the election results, and this is not apparently is the same as in 2018, whereby the opposition again, they refused to accept the results that the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission announced, and they challenged ZEC, and for weeks and weeks their case was in the courts, whereby it was just going back and forth, and they ultimately lost the case. And once again, we are going to be monitoring how the Citizens Coalition for Change is going to move forward. But as it stands, they say that they are not accepting the results as they have been rigged, and they are not accepting President Emmerson Mnangagwa as their president-elect of Zimbabwe.
Now, Talent, as much as most of the results can be debated, what is not debatable is since 2002, ZANU-PF has lost the capital cities, i.e. Harare. And these are people who are receiving these messages directly from Nelson Chamisa, who essentially is saying that this election was a sham. Now, how do you feel that's going to contribute to the atmosphere in Zimbabwe, particularly with regards to violence? Because right now is the most fragile time in Zimbabwean society. Of course, I'm not saying Chamisa is stoking violence. The people's will does need to be respected. And of course, we are aware of how the government has often responded to people protesting or essentially not falling in line. So just from your own opinion, how do you feel the atmosphere is going to unfold in the couple of weeks to follow?
But if we're being honest, as of right now, the atmosphere is a bit gloomy, and there are roads in Harare which have been closed. Apparently, Harare, the opposition won Harare seats for the parliamentarians. They took 23 seats. 22 seats, and right now ZANU-PF has 4 seats in Harare. So right now there are roads which are closed, particularly those that leads to the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission head office and also the ZANU-PF headquarters. That road has been closed for the past few days. Apparently there was curfew. It was not announced, but people by 6 p.m., no one was in town. By 6 p.m., everyone was in their homes. So right now, because of what has happened in the past, if you recall, in 2018, people were shot when they were trying to protest. As it stands, people are actually afraid to protest or to say anything because they do not know what will happen to them. But right now, people are a bit gloomy. The atmosphere is a bit tense. No one is happy, if we're being honest, because everyone thinks that the election was allegedly rigged. So not everyone is happy. Just a few, those who support ZANU-PF, who are happy, but most of the citizens, they are saying that they are tired and they are not happy, and they are hoping that the opposition has a way forward, has a plan to deal with this situation. But as of now, people are a bit sad. The atmosphere is gloomy, and as I said, there are roads in the central business district that have been closed, and there is a curfew. It was not announced, but people just know that by 6 p.m. they have to be in their houses.
Yes, and just to add a little bit of texture to the gloominess, 175.8 is the inflation rate in Zimbabwe. There is no cancer radiotherapy treatment machine in Zimbabwe. There's one functioning maternity ward in the biggest hospital. It costs 37,000 to build one, yet there's one functioning one, and 2,500 Zimbabwean women die during childbirth. So given those conditions, some folks may be gloomy, but of course, ZANU-PF celebrates. Talent Gore, thank you very much for bringing us the news stories as they are from the House of Stone.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good having you on Africa Good Morning. Now, I just mouthed off a whole lot about Zimbabwe. It'll be the Ongwe Diva annual trade fair in economic news, and Aina will have her turn. Stay with us.
Let's get into our economic news this morning. The Deputy Minister of Industrialisation and Trade, Verna Sinimbo, said the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair serves an opportunity to expose the products and services of small and medium enterprises and to create a forum for smart partnership with established corporate entities. Sinimbo made the remarks at the official opening of the trade fair at Ongwediva on Sunday. She said efforts like this are highly commendable as they contribute immensely to the economic development of the region and the government strategy growth at home in achieving the national goals and objectives of Vision 2030. This video is courtesy of Tuemo Haidula.
And foreign business personalities. It further serves as an opportunity to promote products and services of small and medium enterprises and to create a forum for smart partnership with established corporate entities. Director of Proceedings. Trade fairs, exhibitions, and expos serve as platforms where business networks and relationships are formed between customers, producers, and suppliers that will sustain the survival of a business. It is very pleasing to note that despite global economic challenges that we have faced or still facing, which has been brought about by the outbreak of COVID-19, the private sector continues to play an important role as a valuable partner in terms of economic development. Over the past 23 years of its existence and the 22nd edition of this spectacular event, Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair has transformed into Namibia's premier trade exhibition and has positioned itself as a contender and prime regional business and trade show, not only domestically, but also internationally.
Let's head to the economic indicators just before Ari returns with the sport. It was an interesting sporting weekend, particularly in the English Premier League. Manchester City managed a win. Manchester United managed a win. As far as Arsenal goes, I have three words: Esteo Nojado Con, which means I am angry, Mikel Arteta, because I was very disappointed in the 2-2 draw. But here's Ari with some unbiased sports news.
Yes, very good morning, everyone. Yes, unbiased indeed. We tried to be. We're emotional, but unbiased. But I'll start with the rugby first. There's a big tournament, the Rugby World Cup, starting in a few weeks' time, and it's going to be South Africa that play against Scotland. That's the South Africans against the All Blacks in action. What happened is some warm-up games that was quite serious warm-up games, total intensity. But it was the big surprise was South Africa beating New Zealand by 35 points to 7. And that was a big one. Australia losing 41-17. That was Australia losing to France 41-17 in the warm-up game. And a big surprise, England, that was beaten by Fiji by 30 points to 22. So that's the South Africans celebrating that there's no bonus points for this win against the All Blacks. They have to do it in France, but it's a good start for them, good momentum. That's Fiji in action against England, winning that one 30-22. On to athletics. It was the World Championships that unfortunately got to end. It was great athletics, a brilliant athletics event in Budapest. In the end, it was the USA dominated. They got 29 medals in the end, 12 gold, and Canada 6 gold, Spain 4 gold, and Jamaica got 12 gold medals in total. So that's the USA team, 29 medals they dominated. And from last night, or from Sunday's result, a big result for the 400 meters women for Netherlands, Femke Bol, a great last lap. They're winning the 4x400. And then for javelin, Neerav Chopra, the first Indian to win a gold medal at the championship, and that was at the javelin. Then on to that football that Ashwin was talking about, and it's a big result. Well, Manchester City, the only unbeaten team, maybe I can start with that. The Manchester City, they beat Sheffield United. They battled to beat them 2-1. They got 9 points, and then 3 teams on 7 points, Arsenal, Tottenham Hotspur, and Liverpool. So they're chasing Manchester City again. It was Arsenal that had a 2-2 draw against Fulham. Tottenham Hotspur beat Bournemouth 2-0, and then Liverpool, a good result for them against Newcastle 2-1, scoring 2 goals in the last 10 minutes with just 10 players on the field. Big one to look out for, Ashwin, this coming weekend. The Sunday, 3rd of September, it's going to be Arsenal playing Manchester United. So that's a big one coming up this coming weekend. And then going on to some more sport, it is Formula One. It is Max Verstappen again dominating the rain in Dutch Grand Prix. Lots of rain in Zandvoort, and they had to red flag it just before the end, but it was Max Verstappen hanging on. Fernando Alonso was second, and Pierre Gasly won 3rd position. It was Max Verstappen equaled the all-time best, 9 consecutive victories in a row, equaling Sebastian Vettel's record, 11th of the season. And just to finish off golf real quickly, it was the Tour Championship played in Atlanta. The winner there, Victor Hovland. Victor Hovland coming in with a brilliant 63 in the last round, winning $18 million. Victor Hovland, the winner there on the PGA FedEx Tour Championship. So out of breath, lots of sport that we had to talk about. All the best for the week. Great week for everyone, and we're talking international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you very much, Ari, for bringing us the sports stories. The highlights from this morning's broadcast follow shortly.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. Let's get into the highlights. Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa re-elected with 52.6% of the vote. China's Xi pledges to support Africa's industrialization at BRICS. Angola and Brazil agree to strengthen and relaunch cooperation. Cuban president emotional as he gives sterling speech at Namibia's Heroes Day celebrations. Those have been our top stories.
Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. So please be reminded that we welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can post them on our Twitter and Facebook pages. On that note, it's all our love, all our light. Happy Monday.
Suraj Jagannath.